the foundation of self-mastery, discipline, and focus. At the heart of a fulfilling life lies the development of self-discipline, a virtue of immense value. The capacity for self-discipline empowers individuals to direct their energies effectively, making the accomplishment of significant goals a tangible possibility. Without it, one risks becoming a victim of fluctuating desires and unfocused efforts, constantly shifting direction without achieving substantial progress. Intertwined with self-discipline are focus, patience, and self-awareness, each playing a crucial role in the pursuit of inner peace and contentment. By embracing the present moment and adopting a process-oriented approach, individuals can embark on a path that leads to these vital qualities. This journey involves recalling an innate understanding and bringing it into conscious awareness, allowing it to guide and empower one's actions. The ability to quiet the mind and consciously direct one's energy towards a specific task represents a timeless form of self-empowerment. This focused energy is not only instrumental in achieving external goals, but also serves as the key to unlocking the elusive experience of inner peace in today's often chaotic lives. The insights and experiences detailed herein converge to illuminate this path, aptly named the practicing mind. Consider the pervasive nature of distraction in modern life. Observing a group of 11-year-olds at a skating rink, one might be struck by the overwhelming sensory bombardment they navigate. Multiple television screens displaying different channels with competing volumes, loud music filling the rink, the cacophony of sound effects from video game machines, and a large screen playing a music video different from the house music all contribute to an environment of intense sensory input. Amidst this, the children skate in silence, seemingly accustomed to processing this relentless stream of information. This constant exposure to multitasking creates a challenge when one consciously desires to focus on a single activity. The mind, accustomed to agitation and a rapid flow of thoughts, resists stillness. This mental restlessness can lead to exhaustion and stress, making it difficult to be present and still. In contrast, the practicing mind is characterized by quietude, residing in the present with laser-like focus and precision. It responds directly to conscious direction, allowing energy to flow unimpeded, resulting in a state of calm and freedom from anxiety. In this state, one is fully present, engaged in the task at hand, and acutely aware of the experience, free from wasted physical or mental motion. Reflect on the common experience of driving somewhere and realizing a portion of the journey is a blank in memory. This occurs because the mind, instead of focusing on the act of driving, becomes consumed by unrelated thoughts. Many people remain largely unaware of their own thought processes, their minds wandering without conscious permission. Instead of observing and directing their thoughts, they become lost within them. This raises fundamental questions about how we learn, unlearn, and navigate challenges without unnecessary struggle. The exploration of these questions began with the initial intention of easing the difficulties of learning musical instruments, but evolved into a broader perspective on processing life itself. The very process of writing became an exercise in observing the principles being discussed, revealing their applicability to maintaining consistent effort, understanding learned concepts, and managing daily life, including the demands of business and family. An illustrative moment occurred when the author found himself feeling frustrated while attending to his daughters, his mind preoccupied with ideas for the book. He recognized this as a failure to be present, allowing his thoughts to stray from the immediate task of engaging with his children. By consciously redirecting his focus to the present moment with his daughters, the stress dissipated and the joy of the interaction returned. The insights shared did not emerge fully formed, but rather developed through the process of living and observing oneself navigating daily experiences. A pattern of initial enthusiasm followed by a gradual loss of interest and discipline in new endeavors became apparent in early adulthood. Awareness of this pattern proved to be a crucial first step towards change. The cycle often involved initial immersion, followed by waning enthusiasm and the creation of excuses to avoid consistent practice. The monotony of mastery, finding focus in repetition. The intricate mechanics of a grand piano action, comprising thousands of parts and requiring numerous adjustments per note, underscore the repetitive and potentially tedious nature of piano maintenance and restoration. Each task, performed on all 88 notes, demands meticulous attention and leaves little margin for error. In such an environment, discipline and focus are not merely desirable, but essential for both professional satisfaction and survival. Without at least a basic level of these virtues, anxiety and frustration can quickly escalate. The very repetitiveness of this work, however, provided an unexpected benefit: the opportunity for solitude and reflection. Spending long hours alone with his thoughts amidst the monotonous tasks allowed for observation and evaluation of coping mechanisms, discerning what was effective and what was not. Throughout this exploration, key life events and personal struggles served as powerful teachers, revealing the reasons behind past difficulties and the path towards overcoming them through the observation of simple truths. Consider the process of learning a new skill, such as a golf swing. After an instructional class, dedicated time spent practicing the concepts learned, coupled with meticulous note-taking, forms the foundation. Regular practice sessions, focusing on one specific aspect of the swing at a time and involving numerous repetitions, become crucial. At the driving range, the emphasis shifts to the process of learning the swing mechanics, consciously disregarding the immediate outcome of the ball flight. A well-executed golf shot is understood as the culmination of correct individual components, not the primary focus during the learning phase. Life inevitably presents stressors, and finding solace in absorbing activities becomes a natural inclination. Beyond the usual fluctuations of family life, professional responsibilities, such as meeting demanding deadlines for complex piano restoration projects and navigating high-pressure concert preparations for renowned musicians, added layers of stress. The expectation of immediate solutions and the scrutiny of artists and audiences amplified these pressures. Stress, therefore, was an intrinsic part of the professional landscape. The intentionality of practice, beyond mere learning. The terms practice and learning, while related, carry distinct meanings. Practice implies a conscious engagement with awareness and will, characterized by the deliberate repetition of a process with a specific goal in mind. The elements of deliberation and intention are key differentiators between practicing and simply learning. For instance, growing up in a dysfunctional environment can lead to learning negative behaviors unconsciously. To change such ingrained patterns requires conscious awareness and the intentional, repeated practice of alternative behaviors. Practice, therefore, encompasses learning but is not synonymous with it. Effective skill development necessitates deliberately and intentionally practicing, staying focused on the process and maintaining awareness of one's engagement with that process, while simultaneously detaching from the immediate outcome. The principle of process, not product, serves as a cornerstone of this philosophy. This seemingly simple yet profound statement echoes in various forms, such as "stay on purpose," "don't be too results-oriented," and "there is no goal in life, life is the goal." These expressions all emphasize the importance of focusing on the journey rather than solely on the destination. Paradoxically, when attention is directed towards the process, the desired outcome often manifests effortlessly. Conversely, fixating on the product can lead to internal conflict, boredom, restlessness, frustration, and impatience. This is because focusing on the present moment and the immediate task at hand aligns one with their current reality, allowing energy to be channeled directly into the activity. However, when the mind is fixed on a future outcome, one remains perpetually disconnected from the present, expending energy on unrelated thoughts instead of the task itself. To truly focus on the present, a temporary detachment from the desired goal is necessary. Holding on to the attachment to the goal prevents full immersion in the present, because the mind remains occupied with something yet to occur. Shifting the primary goal from the final product to the process of achieving it creates a remarkable transformation: the dissipation of pressure. When the aim is simply to pay attention to the current activity, then every moment of focused engagement becomes an achievement in itself. This shift, while subtle, represents a significant change in approach to any endeavor requiring effort. Consciously directing attention to the present moment and maintaining awareness of this focus cultivates a sense of calm, refreshment, and control. The mind slows down as it is tasked with processing only one thing at a time, and internal mental chatter subsides. This contrasts sharply with the typical mode of operation, where the mind juggles a multitude of tasks related to the past forgotten tasks or the future things to be done, resulting in a fragmented and often overwhelmed state. This emphasis on process does not imply a loss of sight of the ultimate aim. The final goal continues to serve as a guiding rudder for the practice, but not as a measure of immediate success or failure. This challenge is inherent in any activity where a final goal provides the initial motivation and a point of comparison for perceived progress. This is evident in sports with perfect scores, such as skating, gymnastics, bowling, and golf, but also subtly present in all areas of life where aspirations exist. For instance, if during writing, the focus shifts to simply finishing the chapter to move on, the present moment is lost. Similarly, in trying to improve interactions with a difficult colleague, self-judgment for occasional setbacks detracts from the process of improvement. In such instances, the key is to remain in the present, observe actions, use the desired outcome as a guide, and adjust accordingly, staying engaged in the process of moving towards the goal. The shadow of evaluation, the tyranny of grades. From a young age, societal structures often instill a strong emphasis on results, sometimes overshadowing the value of the process. Even if the specific origins of this perspective in early childhood are unclear, it is often firmly established by school age. Educational systems, with their grading mechanisms, further reinforce this results-oriented mindset. School grades, ideally intended to provide feedback on the effectiveness of teaching methods, often become definitive markers of personal worth. Whether they accurately fulfill their intended purpose remains debatable, given the consistent distribution of grades over time. Standardized achievement tests like the SAT further solidify this system, significantly influencing college admissions and perceptions of potential. Throughout school years, academic accomplishments heavily shape self-identity and perceived value, impacting future opportunities and self-esteem. A student with mostly C grades may internalize a sense of being average, while an F student might feel like a failure and an A student excellent. This environment cultivates a bottom-line intelligence where results are paramount, regardless of the methods employed, a mindset that can contribute to behaviors like cheating. The intention here is not to propose a new system of evaluation, but to highlight how the existing grading system can prioritize the product over the process. Personal experiences in school, particularly with subjects perceived as difficult like mathematics, illustrate this point. Despite sincere effort and focused attention in class, the material often remained elusive. While creative subjects came easily, mathematics presented a persistent challenge, reflected in consistently lower grades. While acknowledging the potential role of teaching styles, the emotional impact of those grades remains significant. Despite well-meaning encouragement to just try your hardest, the sting of a disappointing grade, especially in a challenging subject like math, often overshadowed the effort invested. The focus invariably shifted to the D in math comprehension, despite the scattering of better grades in other areas. While fortunate to have parents who did not overemphasize academic achievements, an internal perception persisted that these grades reflected personal inadequacy, at least in the realm of mathematics, leading to a dread of the subject. This experience is not isolated. For some, particularly those from backgrounds that highly valued academic success, the emphasis on grades could be even more pronounced. An experience in a college music theory course provides a compelling example. As an adult student taking the course out of personal interest, the pressure of grades was not a primary motivator. However, the behavior of younger students in the class revealed the powerful influence of the grading system. One assignment involved a computer program designed to test understanding of the course material. The program graded performance in each area and prevented advancement until a passing score was achieved. Adding to the pressure was a Big Brother aspect, where the professor could remotely monitor individual progress, coupled with a time limit for each answer. Unbeknownst to the students, their class was a test group for this timed format, unlike a sister class covering the same material. The time allotted to answer the questions was grossly underestimated, making it virtually impossible to complete the tasks successfully within the constraints. Even correct answers that took too long to input were marked as failures. This stressful situation was compounded by the fact that the computer lab work constituted a significant portion, 33% of the final grade. A schedule outlining expected progress on the computer was provided, but almost no one could adhere to it. As students fell further behind, stress levels escalated. A casual remark from the professor about lagging performance and its impact on grades triggered an unexpectedly strong negative reaction from the class. The faculty, unaware of the impossible situation they had created, assumed insufficient effort on the part of the students. In reality, students were dedicating excessive amounts of time to the work, even neglecting other courses, and some were visibly distressed. Being an older student with a genuine interest in the material rather than the grade, the author remained largely immune to this pressure. The class was a personal investment, and the outcome held less significance than the knowledge gained. This perspective allowed for an almost detached observation of the younger students' reactions to something they perceived as critically important, but would likely seem insignificant in the future. The story culminates in the students' response to the impossible situation: widespread cheating. The open access to the computer lab allowed students to record the questions and their answers and input them rapidly during the timed sessions. While this resulted in perfect scores and a sense of justification among the students, genuine learning about music theory was minimal. The pervasive sentiment was that the class and the computer program would not jeopardize their grade. The grade became the sole focus, while the knowledge itself was disregarded. The students completed the course with an A on their transcript, signifying little of lasting value. They prioritized the product, the grade, over the process learning, ultimately undermining their own educational benefit. This emphasis on perfect outcomes at the expense of the process is not unique to academic settings. Visiting a Japanese piano plate manufacturing facility provided a stark contrast. Observing a worker meticulously preparing a cast iron plate, a retailer inquired about the number of plates he could finish in a day. The worker's confused response, "As many as I can make perfect," revealed a fundamentally different mindset. The concept of a supervisor to ensure correct work was foreign. The worker considered it his inherent responsibility. This dedication to perfection in the process is difficult to fathom from a different cultural perspective. The time taken to produce a single flawless plate was deemed a correct fulfillment of the job requirements. The focus remained steadfastly on the present moment, cultivating a fresh and uncluttered mind. One perfect plate held more value than numerous acceptable ones. This patient, process-oriented approach ultimately yielded superior long-term results, significantly impacting industries such as automotive, music, and electronics. In essence, the key lies in remaining process-oriented, staying present, making the process the primary goal, and using the overall objective as a guiding principle. Deliberation, clear intention, and awareness of that intention are crucial. By adhering to these principles, the judgments and emotions associated with a results-oriented mindset diminish. Maintaining awareness of the intention to stay focused on the present makes it easier to recognize when one has strayed. The immediate signs of losing this perspective are judgment of performance and feelings of impatience and boredom. Recognizing this slippage is itself a positive step, indicating the development of an internal observer. While consistently practicing this may not be easy, it is profoundly important for personal growth and inner happiness, as emphasized by major philosophies and religions. Remember the paradox. Patience and discipline are mutually reinforcing, requiring both for the development of either. Throughout the day, it is beneficial to pause and reflect on whether one is cultivating flower-like qualities, remaining present with thoughts and energies. Nature, unburdened by ego, operates according to what works. It is the ego that creates false ideals of perfection and judges whether they have been attained. True perfection is not a fixed state or a specific metric, but a continuously evolving perception based on present experience. Just as a sailor never reaches the horizon, the pursuit of an ultimate, fixed perfection is a path to perpetual frustration. Happiness lies not in reaching a mythical endpoint, but in being fully absorbed in the present moment, just as a flower is perfect in its current state. This perspective dissolves the impatience to reach a false goal that promises but cannot deliver lasting happiness. Observing nature, like a flower, offers valuable lessons. The flower understands its connection to the natural world, a connection often forgotten. The lifelong effort towards present moment awareness is not about achieving a state of mastery for egoic gratification, but about attaining the inner peace and happiness that material possessions and social status cannot provide. This inner peace is timeless, personal, and perhaps the only truly ownable possession. The motivation to cultivate this attitude daily arises from a deep-seated longing for something more, an emptiness that persists despite external achievements. The very act of seeking such understanding suggests an underlying awareness of this unmet need. The wisdom of the beginner. Rediscovering present moment awareness. In Zen philosophy, this state of present moment focus is akin to beginner's mind. When approaching a new activity as a beginner, it demands full concentration, leaving little room for mental distractions. However, as proficiency increases, maintaining this singular focus becomes more challenging. Recall the initial experience of learning to drive. It required complete absorption in the process. Now, with experience, driving often becomes a backdrop for other activities like listening to the radio, engaging in conversation, or thinking about future task diversions that would have been overwhelming for a novice driver. The mind is no longer fully present in the act of driving. Try, on the next drive, to focus solely on the task at hand. Be aware of other drivers, the surrounding scenery, and the feel of your hands on the wheel. If alone, attempt to silence internal dialogue and turn off distractions. This may feel surprisingly difficult. The automatic awareness of trying not to think of anything but driving becomes apparent. What was once a natural state of focused attention as a beginner seems almost impossible to replicate with competence. The point of this exercise is not to discourage, but to illuminate the nature of the present-minded state and how our experience of it changes with skill. While direct self-observation in a process-oriented, present-minded state is difficult, it is often easily discernible in others. Watching someone intensely engaged in a computer video game provides a clear example of perfect practice in action. Video games naturally draw one into a state of focused present moment awareness. Although the high score represents the ultimate product, the enjoyment lies in the process of playing. The game demands complete attention. Even a brief glance at the score can disrupt the flow and hinder success. Observe the total focus of a video game player, so absorbed that they may not even respond to external stimuli. A captivating movie can have a similar effect, drawing and holding our attention. Conversely, many daily activities, even those that could be engaging, are often approached with a subconscious desire to finish them quickly and move on to something else. This leads to a state of being physically present but mentally anticipating the next activity. This raises the question of why certain activities are defined as work, while others are not. A significant factor in perceiving something as work is the requirement for numerous decisions, which can be stressful and fatiguing. This is particularly true when these decisions are subtle and made without conscious awareness. An experience preparing a concert piano for an orchestra and soloist illustrates this. A feeling of reluctance arose, which, upon closer examination, stemmed from the multitude of decisions involved in the tuning process and the weight of responsibility associated with them. The success of the soloist's performance depended on the correct setup of the instrument. The stress originated from the fear of making a wrong decision and being held accountable. Reflecting on a lack of confidence in an area of proven expertise revealed a disconnect from the present moment. Thoughts drifted to a later activity defined as not work, indicating a lack of full engagement in the current task. Having become highly skilled in piano tuning, the initial beginner's mind had been lost. Entire sections of the instrument were tuned without conscious recollection, the mind wandering into future daydreams. Adopting a process-oriented mindset consistently is not necessarily easy, although it often occurs naturally during initial learning phases. However, the key difference lies in the willful application of this focus. When intentionally practicing present moment awareness, it is advisable to begin with activities that do not evoke strong emotions. For example, if concerned about taxes, that is likely not an ideal starting point. The emotional charge can add unnecessary difficulty. However, with practice, the true value of this skill emerges in its application to emotionally laden situations, negating their negative power. The practicing mind fosters control, reduces effort and negative emotions, leading to inner peace and greater accomplishment. Cultivating desired habits, the power of intentional repetition. A fundamental realization is that habits are learned and therefore can be consciously chosen. Awareness is the crucial first step in this process. One cannot change what one is not aware of, a truth particularly relevant to self-improvement. Many individuals are disconnected from their own thoughts, simply experiencing them as they arise without conscious observation or direction. To gain control, one needs to become an observer of their thoughts and actions, akin to an instructor watching a student. This observation should be non-judgmental and focused on guiding back to the desired path when straying. Negative emotions arise from expectations tied to a specific result, hindering the process. Experiencing such emotions signals a departure from the present moment and the process. The tendency for thoughts to arise seemingly automatically is itself a learned habit. While some habits are considered beneficial and others detrimental, all habits can be replaced through understanding their formation. Habits and practice are deeply intertwined. What is practiced will become habitual. This underscores the significance of consciously directing one's practicing mind. The mind will inevitably practice certain behaviors, whether consciously or not, and these practiced behaviors will solidify into habits. Understanding this mechanism allows for intentional habit formation, gaining control over personal development. While the mechanics of habit formation have been extensively studied, fortunately, one does not need to discover them anew. Behavioral scientists and sports psychologists have conducted extensive research on habit formation. Understanding how desirable habits are created and undesirable ones replaced is particularly valuable in repetitive motion activities like golf or diving. The deliberate, repeated practice of specific movements, as seen in golfers refining their swing or divers visualizing their routine, serves to habitualize these actions. A habit signifies a natural, intuitive way of doing something, requiring no conscious thought. Martial arts training exemplifies this, where repeated practice ingrains responses that become effortless and instantaneous in critical situations. The goal is for desired behaviors, such as increased awareness of thoughts, to become natural and require minimal conscious effort. Reaching this point involves awareness of the desired outcome, knowledge of the necessary steps, and their execution without emotion or judgment, simply staying on course. The comfort lies in knowing that intentional repetition over a relatively short period can establish new habits and replace old ones. Research in sports has yielded comprehensive insights into this process. One study suggests that repeating a particular motion 60 times a day for 21 days can form a new, ingrained habit. These repetitions can be spread throughout the day. This method is used in sports to refine specific aspects of movements, making them feel natural and automatic. For example, in archery, the proper draw of the bow and breathing technique can be habitualized through repeated practice. Conversely, haphazard execution will also become a learned habit. Therefore, conscious awareness of habit formation, a clear understanding of the desired outcome, and intentional effort are essential for cultivating beneficial habits and replacing unwanted ones. The inner resource of patience, a shift in perspective. All the patience one will ever need resides within. An observation shared by the author's mother during her battle with cancer provides a profound insight into the nature of patience and perspective. During her illness, she found solace and spiritual awareness in daily reading. This routine provided a soothing perspective during a challenging time. However, when she deviated from this practice, she noticed a shift in her thought process, feeling herself slip back into a less productive and prevalent negative attitude. She emphasized the need to continually review positive and clarifying ideas to maintain perspective, as daily life has a way of stealing it away. This resonated with the author during the writing process. The core ideas presented are few and timeless, but easily forgotten amidst the demands of daily life. Repeated review from different angles is necessary for these concepts to become ingrained. The aim was to create a work that could be revisited at any point, allowing readers to readily recall these key ideas without extensive backtracking. The intention was to highlight the recurring nature of fundamental solutions to perceived problems and to reveal the underlying simplicity of life. Changing one's experience of life is attainable, but it requires consistent engagement with these core principles so that they become an integral part of one's being. This reiteration throughout the text aims to underscore the interconnectedness of these concepts and their relationship to desirable virtues such as patience. Patience is often considered a highly desirable quality. Defined as quiet perseverance, it also encompasses a sense of calmness. The difficulty in achieving patience in various aspects of life, from traffic jams to interpersonal interactions to personal growth, warrants examination. Developing patience involves a twofold understanding. First, accepting the present moment as it is without resistance. Much impatience stems from a desire for things to be different from their current reality, leading to internal friction and wasted energy. True acceptance of the present, however, allows energy to be directed constructively towards the desired outcome. Second, understanding and accepting that perfection is an ever-evolving and ultimately unreachable point. What is perceived as perfect is always relative to one's current position. The metaphor of a sailor striving for the horizon illustrates this point, an endless pursuit that never brings closer. If the sailor equates happiness with reaching the horizon, perpetual frustration is inevitable. The only tangible evidence of progress is the wake left behind, while the vast distances covered through consistent effort remain unseen. Consider the pursuit of the perfect life and the often attached conditions such as more money. The belief that more money equates to happiness is a pervasive falsehood. The wealthiest individuals often desire even more and worry about losing their existing wealth, finding no peace in this mindset. The conditional pursuit of happiness, "I'll be happy when," inevitably leads to discontentment. Those involved in the arts often grasp the endless nature of mastery through direct experience. This understanding is inherent in all artistic disciplines. This is why engaging in some form of art can be so vital to one's well-being, as it directly teaches this fundamental truth about life. Personal experiences in the author's late teens fostered greater patience through shifts in perception. The first instance involves studying jazz improvisation with a highly accomplished pianist named Don. Observing Don's exceptional skill, earned through years of dedicated practice, the author was surprised to hear Don express a feeling that he needed to work harder to truly excel. The author remarked that reaching Don's level would be a source of great contentment. Don's reply, sharing that he had said the same to his own teacher years prior, highlighted the ever-receding horizon of perceived perfection. Don's teacher was a world-renowned musician, yet even reaching Don's level did not bring a sense of ultimate fulfillment. This realization prompted a rethinking of the motivations for studying music and the pursuit of an elusive perfection as a prerequisite for fulfillment. The second event occurred a year into studying with Don at age 19. Frustrated with the slow progress on a particular musical passage, the author decided to create a list of musical goals that would signify good musicianship. This list included playing fluently in difficult keys and performing before large audiences. Several years later, during a difficult practice session in college, a feeling of stagnation led to discouragement. As the author packed up his music, a forgotten piece of paper fell out the 5-year music plan from his 19-year-old self. Reading the list revealed a surprising truth. All the goals had been accomplished in less than 3 years, and yet the feeling of inadequacy persisted. Musical horizons had shifted, and the definition of a good musician had evolved. In that moment, the realization dawned that there was no fixed point of musical excellence that would eliminate the desire for further improvement. There was no arrival point, no state of being good enough to cease striving. This epiphany, initially accompanied by fear and depression, was immediately followed by joy and relief. It was understood as a necessary realization for any true artist, the only way to cultivate the stamina for a lifelong journey of learning. The analogy of swimming across a lake towards a distant tree further illustrates this principle. Focus should remain on the immediate act of swimming stroke by stroke, breath by breath, with occasional glances at the tree to maintain direction. This detached approach conserves energy. However, constantly trying to see how much closer one is to the tree with each movement wastes energy, leading to frustration, exhaustion, and impatience. Negative emotions arise from judging progress, hindering stamina. This inefficient effort prolongs the journey, if the destination is reached at all. The concept of self-playing organs from the past provides another relevant analogy. These keyboards allowed individuals to play seemingly complex arrangements by pressing just 1 or 2 notes, with the organ providing the accompaniment. While popular for the illusion of instant musical ability, they ultimately failed to provide genuine satisfaction. The experience of pushing buttons was fundamentally different from the earned experience of playing music from the heart. The universe, it seems, does not readily offer such profound experiences without personal effort. The process of learning music fosters a unique relationship with oneself and the art form, demanding time and energy, but returning it manifold in the joy of self-expression and the awareness of the effort invested. This universal law that meaningful achievement requires effort is known at some level by all. Whether it's dieting, exercising, or pursuing any personal goal, effortless attainment yields little satisfaction. This explains the eventual abandonment of the self-playing organs. The experience was shallow and unfulfilling. Sadly, those who purchased them may have been left with a diminished view of the magic of learning a musical instrument. Similarly, the ease of credit cards can create the illusion of bypassing the need for patience. The instant gratification of, "I want it now and I will have it," comes at a potential cost, often unseen in the moment of purchase. The excitement of acquisition without effort quickly fades, reinforcing the universal truth that true satisfaction is often linked to the effort invested. Accepting and leveraging this principle can enhance life, while resisting it leads to dissatisfaction. The power of simplicity. The 4S words. Simplicity and effort can overcome the most complex tasks. The 4S words simplify, small, short, and slow are interconnected components that facilitate staying engaged in the process. When working on a project, break it down into smaller, manageable sections. Avoid setting overly ambitious goals that lead to frustration and doubt. The success of achieving short-term goals generates motivation and sustains progress, preventing mental fatigue. Incorporating slowness into the process may seem paradoxical, but it involves working at a pace that allows for mindful attention to the task. This pace will vary depending on the individual and the activity. Whether washing a car or learning a new computer program, awareness of one's actions indicates an appropriate pace. The paradox of slowness is that it often leads to faster completion with less effort by eliminating wasted energy. Deliberate slowness also alters the perception of time. When energy is fully invested in the present task, the sense of time can fade. An experience during an exceptionally demanding day of piano service illustrates this. Faced with an overwhelming workload, the author decided to consciously work slowly. This seemingly counterintuitive approach involved deliberate, unhurried movements, focusing on each step of the process. Initially, internal resistance arose, urging a faster pace. Anxiety about the amount of work to be done and the need for approval surfaced. However, the simplicity of focusing on one small task at a time, performed slowly and deliberately, overcame this resistance. Working slowly in today's fast-paced world goes against ingrained thought patterns, requiring conscious effort to stay in the present moment and the process. Even seemingly trivial actions like packing and unpacking tools slowly between pianos were performed with meticulous care. This deliberate slowing down, contrasting with the usual hurried movements, required significant concentration. Removing his watch further helped to resist the urge to check time and rush. The focus shifted to personal well-being, both physical and mental, with the understanding that delays could be communicated if necessary. The experience of working slowly brought an unexpected sense of peace and relaxation, devoid of the usual stress and tension. It felt almost blissful. Surprisingly, tasks typically performed hurriedly felt remarkably easy when slowed down deliberately. The true revelation came upon completing the second piano. The slow, detailed process of putting away tools and even walking to the truck with mindful steps intensified this feeling of peace. Upon starting the truck, the clock radio revealed that significantly less time had passed than usual for the same amount of work, leading to disbelief. Checking his watch confirmed a time saving of over 40%. Despite consciously trying to work slowly and anticipating being late, the opposite occurred. Whether it was working more efficiently due to focus or a subjective slowing of time, the result was significant, allowing for a relaxed meal instead of the usual rushed or skipped lunch. The strategy of breaking down the day into small, manageable segments was key to sustaining the focus on slowness. Instead of focusing on the entire day, the intention was set for each small step, such as setting down the toolbox slowly or tuning a specific section of the piano deliberately. This simplified approach allowed for short bursts of focused attention, making the overall goal less daunting. The path to inner peace, equanimity, and non-judgment. Non-judgment is the pathway to a quiet mind. Equanimity, defined as calmness and even-temperedness, is a desirable quality for a happy life. Cultivating and maintaining this virtue requires conscious effort. A hallmark of equanimity is being undisturbed by the daily ups and downs, with events seemingly not bothering such individuals. This inner peace arises from the practice of non-judgment, which quiets the internal mental dialogue. Consider the training of a pilot. Procedures are taught to guide actions, overriding emotional responses. Emergency protocols, such as engine failure, are practiced repeatedly to become automatic habits. This ensures that in a real-life crisis, decisions are made and executed without panic or distracting thoughts. The success of emergency landings by pilots demonstrates the effectiveness of this training. Even in extreme situations with critical instrument failures and hazardous conditions, practice procedures prevail over emotional responses, ensuring survival. Whether facing a job interview, dealing with a difficult person, or learning a new skill, aligning with an objective, non-judgmental observer within is crucial for success and freedom from stress. This perspective contrasts with ego-driven desires for constant achievement and competition. Many are weary of the relentless pursuit of external validation and unattainable ideals. We often offer detached, wise counsel to others facing setbacks, a wisdom we struggle to apply to ourselves. Alignment with the observer cultivates non-judgment and, consequently, equanimity. Consciously working to shift alignment to this observer is necessary, whether through meditation or other methods. An effective technique for this purpose is DOC, which stands for Do, Observe, Correct. This can be applied to any activity requiring the practicing mind, but it is often easier to grasp when applied to a physical activity like a sport. An observation from an Olympic archery coach highlights the difference between a results-oriented and a process-oriented approach. American archers were often fixated on their score, whereas archers from other cultures were more consumed with the proper technique leading to the shot, viewing the target outcome with detachment. For them, the desired result was a natural consequence of prioritizing correct form, without attachment to the yet-to-occur outcome. This different paradigm often led to superior performance. The DOC technique can be applied to mental processes as well, such as managing worry. First, recognize the unwanted behavior worry. This is the do part. Then, observe this behavior, separating oneself from the act of worrying. Realize that the accompanying emotions have no impact on the problem itself. The correct step involves releasing oneself from these emotions as much as possible and looking at the problem objectively as an observer. When falling back into worry, the cycle repeats. Do, observe, correct. This process involves no judgment or negative emotions. While initially tiring, it is simply breaking an unwanted habit of dealing with problems. The old habit channeled energy into fretting, leaving little for problem solving. The new habit of DOC will eventually become natural. It's like shooting arrows at a target. A miss is simply an observation leading to correction. The villain of emotions is kept out of the game. Soon, the enjoyment of staying present makes the target outcome less significant. It's important to distinguish between evaluation and judgment. Evaluation precedes action. Judgment follows. In DOC, evaluation occurs during observation, leading directly to correction without the unproductive step of judgment. A personal experience of a significant piano restoration project falling through unexpectedly illustrates the application of these principles. The immediate egoic reaction involved anxiety and protest at the perceived injustice. However, the true self recognized that this setback would not fundamentally alter the standard of living. It was more of an inconvenience. Instead of dwelling on the loss, focus shifted to finding a solution. Within a week, the previously empty time slots were filled with other work, even allowing for continued progress on the book. In retrospect, the loss simplified life at that time, rebalancing an overloaded schedule and reinforcing the value of a process-oriented, non-judgmental approach to life's challenges, making life more of an adventure. Guiding the next generation, teaching through example. Passing these concepts on to children can be effectively done through one's actions. Consciously or unconsciously, we are always modeling behaviors. Recollections of adult behaviors from childhood, both appropriate and inappropriate, highlight the impact of observation. While the behavior of all adults in a child's environment cannot be controlled, parental behavior has the most significant influence, shaping a child's understanding of what works and what doesn't. Actions speak louder than words. When facing a difficult day at work, sharing the coping strategies when appropriate can help children see the practical application of these principles. Even letting them witness how stress is managed using a practicing mind provides valuable lessons. Children are constant observers, and being mindful of the silent lessons being taught is essential. The inevitable growth of skills. Direction matters. In every moment, skills are developing. The crucial question is the direction of that growth. The principles discussed are not new but represent ancient wisdom, continually rediscovered by new generations. When one understands and aligns with their natural processes, a sense of control emerges while experiencing life's flow with ease. This understanding emphasizes the importance of staying in the present moment, fostering awareness in all actions. This awareness provides the opportunity to consciously direct choices. The focus shifts to the process, with the overall goal serving as a guide. Making process the primary goal leads to a sense of accomplishment in each moment. Even recognizing a lapse in focus signifies a return to the present, indicating progress in integrating these concepts. With this knowledge, each moment is lived fully and directly, rather than through the filters of future anticipation or past analysis. Most time is spent dwelling on what has not yet happened or reliving the past, squandering the opportunity to experience the reality of the present.